So for someone like me, which is probably not the most people, but I still have a couple friends that are trying to do that.
Yep.
What would you recommend? Like, how do I eat more?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to eating more, one of the best ways to do something like that, if you are in Axel's situation where you are trying to build more muscle, put on more size, maybe gain a little bit more strength, of course, eating solid foods is going to be very helpful to help you get there. But I would say one of the biggest and easiest ways to do it would be to actually make a smoothie or a shake in the morning.
I hate smoothies.
This man does not like smoothies or shakes.
I can drink them. They're just so like messy. Like you make the blender and you make the thing, and then it's like so messy. Like I hate it. Like my roommate Abraham, he loves the smoothies.
Yep.
Shout out to Will Vu. Like my friend Will, he loves his smoothies. But then Will is skinny. Like Will is super skinny, and he's on another level where he's trying to eat the least amount possible so he can live longer, and then he can also work like crazy.
Okay.
So that's why he's doing smoothies, so he doesn't have to even chew. So I need to try smoothies.
That's what I would recommend. Of course, there's other options too. I think the biggest one is actually starting with how many meals do you eat per day on an average given day?
2 to 3.
Yeah, so I think, even just building some consistency around having at least 3 meals per day would be a great place to start. I think a lot of the times when it comes to people trying to obtain their fitness goals, I think most people try to bite off more than they can chew. They aim really big, they aim really high, but then the issue is they get burnt out. They can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
So when that ends up happening, they view themselves of, oh, I'm a failure, I messed up, I made a mistake, clearly this wasn't meant for me. But when we start taking small steps and we make it a big priority, when we start focusing on those little things that we can actually improve on, just something as simple as eating 3 meals a day, something that you can keep up with. Of course, it's going to take effort. It's going to take a little bit of organization. But, when you start small and you build some confidence around it, then it's going to be easier to actually start, okay, now that I've handled this one aspect of it, where else can I improve now moving forward?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm definitely one of those people because for me, like if I'm going to do something, I want to do it like way bigger and harder than the average person.
Sure.
And then I run into that same problem. It's like I do it, but if I'm doing like 6 meals a day and then I'm adding all those calories and just like making the food, cooking the food,
of course,
eating the food, it becomes too much. So I can do it for like a week or two. But to be honest, like part of me is like, it's not as important. Like if I want to be 100% honest with you, it's like, it's not that important. When I look at all the things that I'm doing, I have also grown a lot in the last couple of years. And I used to be really skinny. Like when I first came to America, I was 140 pounds. So imagine I was like 22, 6'3", 140 pounds. I was super skinny. And I always was like that. Like in Cuba, I always was very skinny. And I wasn't into working out or anything like that. So a few years after that, when I started, I was like, okay, I want to gain muscle and I want to get stronger. Because I was getting like skinny fat where you're like, I had no arms, but then I had a little pouchy belly. So I didn't like that. So I started working out and like trying to do better with my food, and I did better. I think I can achieve more. I just need to be more consistent with it and like make it more of a priority. But it's a struggle because like, do I want to make another video or go and eat more and go and buy food and then prep the food or so how do you help people who might have the desire but haven't actually made it a thing,
Of course, yeah. And I think it starts with an idea, right? It starts with the want, right? The need has to be there because, as a coach, like I can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. So the need and the desire has to be there first. And then from there, there's a couple of different factors that you can dive into. One is having the right structure, right? Does a client or the person that you're trying to help, do they actually know what they need to be doing in order to get there? Because sometimes there's a gap there, especially during today's day and age where there's so much information that's out there, right? We have Every single thing that we want, we
it's-
have access at our fingertips.
And it's so conflicting because like
Yep.
you would hear from one person, oh, you have to eat 6 meals a day.
Sure thing.
And then from another person is, no, do intermittent fasting.
Yes.
And then do 1 meal a day. It's so tricky.
Yeah, so that term is called information overload, right? And it's like you mentioned, if you search what's the best workout, you're going to find 100 different options. If you search what's the best diet out there, you're going to find 100 different options as well. So how are you supposed to navigate what's right and what's wrong and what's going to work for you at the end of the day? Because, it's not necessarily about like what this random article says or, what they might be talking about, but what's actually going to work for me. So I think the first step is, having the right structure and knowing what you actually need to do, first and foremost. Secondly, I think it comes down to having the right support system, because when we try to do things by ourselves, we have all been in a situation where, we get quote unquote too busy or we're very tired and, we tell ourselves like, hey, there's nobody watching me. If I skip this workout, if I skip this meal, who's going to know? Nobody's going to know, right? So we make excuses. But if there's someone watching over you, whether it's a friend or a coach or a cousin or whoever it may be, that, as soon as you tell that person, hey, I did this, hey, I did that, one, you're going to get called out on, like, hey, you made a commitment and why are you doing this kind of thing? And two, that you have that, accountability. There's a little bit more pressure to actually do the things that you said you were going to do.
Yeah, it definitely helps a lot. I think that for me in the last year has been huge because I started training with Abraham, and then we started going to the zoo where you and I met. And the moment you walk into the gym, it's like everyone there is like there to work.
Of course.
So you're like, crap, like I need to like level up my game. I don't want to be like a little bitch here, like people are working in really hard day in and day out. And at the same time, I have heard so many people say, oh, I need to find someone to work out with. Like, I don't have a workout buddy or like I need someone. And I think you need to have that whenever you can get it. But also you need to figure out a way to say, I'm doing this for me.
Of course.